So today we're going to talk about the area of composite shapes. This is just an extension to 4.3, so we're just going to add to those notes. So we're going to call this 4.3 extension area of composite shapes or figures. Okay, so these are what we call composite shapes. The reason why we call them composite shapes is because they are composed of multiple shapes that are put together. Okay, so obviously we can tell they are all polygons. They are many-sided shapes. But what we want to look at here is these are all very unfamiliar shapes, and if I asked you to find the area of one of these shapes, you would probably be confused or frustrated. But there is a way that we can find the area of these shapes. But we first have to start to recognize familiar shapes within each of these. Okay, so our first step, I want you to write these 3 steps down in your notes. Step 1 says divide the figure into familiar shapes. So let's look at the first shape, which is a T. What familiar shapes do you see in this polygon? I see 2 rectangles. Okay, we have this rectangle and we have this rectangle. Okay, so if we're going to divide a figure into familiar shapes, we have now divided this one into 2 different rectangles. So now it says find the area of each figure. Well, we know that the area formula for a rectangle is just A equals L times W, length times width. So now all we have to do is count the length and count the width of each of these figures. So this bottom one is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a length, and my width is just 2. Okay, so the area of that figure is 10 units squared. Okay, now I have to find the area of my second rectangle, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units by 1, 2 units. So my length is 6 and my width is 2. So now area equals 12 units squared. So then my third step says add the areas together or subtract if finding the area of just a certain shaded region. So in this case, we want the area of everything that we just found. So we're going to add those 2 together. So 10 plus 12 equals 22 units squared. Okay, let's try another one. So the first thing that it asks us to do, I'm going to use a different color. The first thing it asks us to do is to identify the different shapes within each figure. Okay, so what shapes do you see within this figure? I see a rectangle right here, and I also see a triangle right here. So let's first find the area of the rectangle. Okay, so the area, again, the area of a rectangle we know is length times width or base times height. So we know that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is our length. So A equals 8 times, we have a width of 2. So my area of that rectangle is 16 units squared. So now we have to find the area of our triangle. So let's see if we can find the area of the triangle. We know the area formula of a triangle is A equals what? Base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 the base times height. So A equals, my base is 1, 2, just like our rectangle, the quickest way is to know that it's the same length. So it's going to be 8 going all the way across on the bottom on the base. So 8 times, what's my height from the tip down to the base? 1, 2, 3, sorry, let's count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 8 times 4 divided by 2. So my area equals 8 times 4 is 32, divided by 2 is 16 units squared. So again, now I have to add 16 plus 16, and we get 32 units squared as my final answer. That is the area of this composite shape or composite figure. Okay, your final task is going to be to find the area of these two composite shapes. Okay, I'm going to break apart the first one for you. The last one you're going to break apart on your own. So what shapes do we see within this figure? I see 2 shapes. Okay, you could do this multiple ways, but I see 2. You could break it apart into a triangle right here, and you could also break it into this, which is a trapezoid that we learned about yesterday. It's just turned on its side. So my trapezoid is right here. So we should be able to find the area of those 2 figures and then add them together. Okay, if we recognize the last one, you should be able to see that there are 2 shapes that we know that are in that figure. So find the area, the area of these composite figures or shapes, and then you're going to come check it with me in the back. When you're finished, okay, then you'll get your assignment.